Alright, so it's been a few years. The pain still festers. Not as raw as it did back in, what was it, 2019. But here we are, 2022, 3 years later. And we finally got the latest chapter in the saga from George R. R. Martin and Game of Thrones. We got our premiere episode of House of the Dragon. And of course, the world was thinking to itself, are we going to get an episode like back in the day, when the first series started many years ago? Was it 10 plus years ago, I think? Or are we going to get something like the nut filled crap we were getting, in the later years? And even worse, are we going to get something good only for it to turn bad eventually? It's almost like that toxic relationship where you still know there's good in them, and you're just hoping that you get more of the good than the bad. I mean, we're a bunch of sadists. We don't know what we're gonna get, but damn it, we really want to see if it's worth the misery. And so we all chimed in and watched House of the Dragon, and I watched it right there Sunday night, 9 o'clock on HBO Max. Everything worked fine for me, and I have to say that first episode worked out just fine. I had no issues with it. I thought the acting was stellar. I thought the pacing was absolutely perfect. I've read very little of the literature. I've watched the series, I think, once or twice. I only went through that final season that one time. Maybe one day, if I ever feel the need to, pull out my fingernails, I'll watch it again. But it looks like, a group of people sat down uh, and said, okay, how do we do this and do this right? I still feel there's a story behind the other guys. I don't think it's all D&D's fault. I think it was a combination of everybody. But we're gonna move past that. We're gonna talk about this one. Looks like George R. R. Martin might be taking a little bit more input role. Looks like everybody wants to make this work. So far it's looking pretty good. We got a good little storyline, good little introduction into the characters. Nothing way too over the top. Everybody's believable. Everybody's relatable. Obviously, the Targaryens are the guys who are in charge of the entire kingdom of Westeros. They run the Iron Throne. That's nothing too spoilerish here. Well, we see that in the previews and what have you. And you know, we have all the talking and everything, which I'm enjoying. Unfortunately, there's probably two things about this episode here that kind of bothering me, and probably the first one. And granted, this is all this is all just watching from the outside going in. Obviously, with I have to compare it to the old show because that's what we have. The old show, kind of jumped between different storylines. We had, the Starks, and we went to the Lannisters, who were visiting them in Winterfell. But we also saw north of the Wall, where we had the White Walkers. Obvious that stuff is not happening here. This is way before then, what have you. This one seems to be more focused squarely on the Targaryens at King's Landing. I'm hoping as we get to other episodes, we run into seeing the other families, in other countries. We ran into a family from Dorne. The folks that we ran into the Sand Snakes in the other series. We heard about the Lannisters. We heard about the Starks, and what have you. My question with this show is, in order for this show to thrive, are we going to start seeing the other families and how they do what they do? How did the Lannisters start to get the beginnings of power? Do we see? Obviously, we're not going to see the people we saw in the first show, but obviously they're going to start turning things around on their end. in order to gain more power. I know they had some gold mines, or they took over some gold mines. I know they they had a fight with Castamere or something like that. If and people, you guys can correct me in the comments below. This is all perfectly fine and dandy. And we have the Karstarks, we have the the Iron Islands, and we have we have everybody everywhere, and that's what I would like to see. One of the things I really enjoyed about the other show is that it showed all the different people around everywhere and how they handle things differently. I really hope this show doesn't just focus on the Targaryens, and that's my 2 cents on that. The only other problem I had with this episode was, for some reason, whoever scored this particular episode felt like they wanted to remind us that this was Game of Thrones. It was like every single scene you just heard those three notes that we all have come to love, from the theme song, from the first series. Granted, it gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. That's perfectly fine, but it felt like it was just beating me to death watching this episode, because every time, we would get to a scene, you would hear it again somewhere in the background, and we get somewhere else. We would hear that, and whatever, you know, musical, accompaniment was going on to elicit whatever emotion we were supposed to have, whether it was, anger or, fear or suspense. It was always somewhere, rumbling in the background, that those particular three notes. And I was like, okay, let's hope the show is not just this way this whole time. I don't want the show to be too much of a derivative of the original show. I want it to be its own entity. So, but all in all, the episode was very well done. It was emotional. It was impactful. It was visceral. It was brutal, and it looked like the folks at HBO did whatever they could to make it work in today's age. I understand, with the world, everybody's talking about all the scenes from the previous show, and HBO's been known for this for decades. Would it be here? And granted, it was. And in the world of intimacy coordinators, whoever worked on this show had their workout cut up for them. Hey, more power to them. I couldn't do it, but it is what it is. I still enjoyed the show for what it is. I'm looking forward to more episodes. I'm presuming it's going to be 9 more. So it's going to be a fun season. It's going to be a packed full season. And I really look forward to see how this works out. I don't know how many seasons we're going to get. And I really hope we get some good quality over the years. But who knows? History has shown us that it didn't work out well a long time ago. But you know what? We're all in this ride together. So tell me what you thought about the premiere episode of House of the Dragon. Did you like it? Did you think it was just or did you hate it? Let me know. Post it in the comments below. Tell me what you thought. We can just have a dialogue. Anyway, that's it for me. If you like what I had to say, hit that like button. You can always subscribe, and we'll talk again next time. Peace.